hear it. It was just so sensitive. It would, you know, crystals kind of tinkle when they rub together. That was my earliest, and I knew I was at my grandma's house when I would hear that. Esther, and that was my dad's mother. Esther Marie Smith. Murphy. My dad's dad, we don't know where he was from because we know very little about him. He deserted the family when Dad was 3. And my grandmother either didn't remember anything that he told her or he didn't tell her anything. We don't know because we don't know what nationality he was, where he was born, nothing. We just know that they were married and got divorced after he deserted them. And he was in prison for 2 years. Murphy, I've got some, what do you call that, genealogy papers from my cousin who is into that kind of stuff. And she sent me a bunch of stuff about the Murphy family and where they came from. And they came from Ireland, not my grandparents themselves, but her parents and his parents came from Ireland. We had great holidays. Mom and Dad were very excited about holidays themselves. We always had a big tree and, you know, the presents were around it. We didn't have anything until the Christmas morning. We didn't have a tree or nothing. So when we waked up, it was a big surprise what was in the living room. And Easter was always great. Thanksgiving was great. They really made holidays fun. In fact, Halloween, Mom would make our costumes, and she made great costumes for us. So it was, all the holidays were very good. My childhood was good. We would be asleep, and they would get the tree out. They would decorate the tree. They would put a train around it, you know, little toy train, all the presents. Decorate the living room, you know, not just the tree, but it was just magical, you know, when you get up in the morning. And you could smell the turkey cooking. And, of course, we didn't know that. You know, we didn't know that as kids. But it was, well, easily cry. Physical traits. I look like my mother. I got hair like my father. Nails like my father. My mother's smile. Her sense of humor. My father wasn't a crier, but he was very sensitive. Mother, she was just kind of weepy. She, like me, I can cry get in the middle of a commercial that's sad, and I'll be crying. It just touches me, and I think it touched her. And we mean it. I mean, it's not a fake thing. It's a exactly. I can remember one time. Well, you can cut this out too, but. My grandmother, her mother, had been at the house, and they were saying goodbye because they were going to go on a trip. Her mother and father were going to go on a trip, and my mother is just crying buckets because she didn't want him to leave, and she was an adult, you know. So it was pretty odd. I don't know what, maybe insecurity. I don't know. We went to the same school together. He was in a grade ahead of me, so I didn't really meet him. I just knew who he was. And his brother was a good friend of mine, and he was in my class. So that's how I knew him, but I didn't really meet him, you know. He took me out to dinner and took me to movies. Spent a lot of money on me. I thought he was, you know, oh, this guy's got some bucks. But he didn't. And when we got married, it stopped. Well, we had dated for 2 years, and he was going into the service after he got out of college. And we wanted to get married before he went in the service, which was only like 3 or 4 weeks before he went in. So it was just it wasn't really a proposal, it was a taken for granted kind of thing. And he went to my folks and asked their permission, and they got a wedding all planned out and everything in 3 weeks. Mom had a lot of friends that made the food, decorated the hall, and so forth. So it was a nice wedding. Yeah, St. Genevieve's. The wedding day, I remember when we were driving to the honeymoon, we were going to go to Vegas, and there was this big truck in front of us, or car in front of us, or whatever. It lost its tire, and the tire is bouncing, bouncing, bouncing towards us. And didn't hit the car, but if it had hit, we might have been dead. It was a big truck tire.
Wow.
It was a beautiful day. I mean, it was a. Going into the church, a friend of mine was coming out. She just got married, so there's a picture of her and I, in our wedding dress and everything, meeting each other at the outside of the church. My dad was Frederick Donald Rathstone. He was a great guy. He was very interested in things. A good father. Very good looking. It was a lot of fun. He always took us on Sunday drives, and we'd go to different places. Hard worker, worked very hard. Mom was Mary Agnes Hilda Murphy. She was a good cook, like I said. She was a good mother. She wasn't as outgoing as Dad. Till she got to know you, she was pretty quiet. She had a really good sense of humor, very kind of quick wit. Dad was very affectionate, physically affectionate. Mom wasn't. Mom was very, not cold, but not as demonstrative as Dad. My brother Butch was Frederick John Rathstone. He was a year younger than me. In fact, he was born close to December 7th in 1941 when the Pearl Harbor. So he was born on the 17th, 10 days later. He and I were close growing up, but we aren't close anymore. He's not really close to anybody, not even his own children. He lives up north. We had the same friends growing up because we were so close in age. Mike was 5 years younger. Michael Dennis Rathstone. He was born at the end of the war, in January before the war ended. He was a sweet little guy. Because he was 5 years younger, we didn't have a lot of playtime with him, because he was young. We didn't get closer till he got older and got married and so forth. He had a lot of problems at that time that I was a kid. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, the Second World War was going on, but I don't know how it affected me because I don't remember it. I mean, I know about it afterwards, after I grew up and stuff, but not during the time. I don't remember anything affecting me until Kennedy was shot. But then I was a young woman then, and that was quite a shock that something could happen like that. And it was depressing, and it was scary, and any of the wars after that, Korea, any of the wars that we've had since then are always very scary. When you're so far away from something, it doesn't affect you as much as it would if you were in it. My spouse. He is a gem. Wonderful guy. Great sense of humor. I mean, we've been together 52 years, and he's kept me laughing. Great father. Good-looking guy, too. Keeps himself fit. Loves me, tells me he loves me every day. I don't know why I'm crying. His perseverance. Very hard worker. Was a very hard worker. Still is. When I'm ready to give up, he's still raring to go. His sense of humor is fantastic, and he's very demonstrative with his children. Sense of humor is big in my book. Being friends, being loyal, being truthful, physically affectionate, so many things. Good provider, being there when things are not going good, just alive. To tell you the truth, I was a little disappointed because we were immediately pregnant. We only had that 9 months to get to know each other, where I was looking forward to having a couple years of just being together.